Hi friends, and we're back to take a look at Link versus the Bitcoins, so and the US dollar, and you can see with our wee drawings that we had on here in the chart yesterday. By the way, excuse me if you can hear this sort of background farting noise. It's the neighbours are drilling, but of course it's what it sounds like is a really bad case of the flatulence over here at in Rocky Outcrop HQ. I assure you that it actually smells in here a wonderful fresh aroma, as I have not farted in many minutes now. So anyway, let's just take a look at the charts. Thanks for tuning in, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Really appreciate it. I'm Rocky Outcrop. We do daily technical, cryptical analysis here on a few different coins. So we talked about how we had this high in here on the daily time frame, and that we had a sort of key area here to be looking out for in around this circle. And you can see the price action is obliged to actually just operate exactly in that haphazardly drawn on circle that we had in yesterday's video, which is a good crack. If I just hit undo, it takes me back to the Ethereum, and I don't want to be doing that. And that's me put off my flow, and the reason why that's happening is because of the farting noise coming from next door. My goodness, so distracting, it's intense. But anyway, where's the price action coming in at, and what have we got? So we've got some sort of kind of positive, a positive little spin on this, I suppose, that we could look to, and that is, let me just get this up here properly, and I'll get rid of this noise off of here for us. We don't need that on there, and you know what? We don't actually need that there either. We've got this, the sort of positive spin on this is that we're coming up here and we're retesting this 236 Fibonacci retracement here that we, trying to think, could we undo this? Could it happen? The 21 EMA is up there, up above. That's where roughly where the median line of a Bollinger Band would be currently, as well as it happens. We could be looking towards that area, and should that happen and we actually open and close above there and negate this and invalidate this Fibonacci retracement, this particular one here, so you can see it, that would be good. That would be good. And if I draw it down body to body instead of wick to wick, then you can see that we're right on that. So right on that right now. That's good to see. And where does that come in at? Well, it's no coincidence really that it comes in right smack bang on top of where the 618 Fibonacci retracement is on a bigger time frame, sort of this starting here over there in the 4th of March and down here to 4th of March 2020. This is a 12-hour time frame, down to the 6th of April 2020. And yeah, so that's 618 is. So we're living in the golden pocket. We've got that where we have the Midas touch right now. Can we actually maintain this level of 47,000? Let's just call it 48,000 just to be succinct about things. But the price is currently 47,816 versus the old Bitcoins. Satoshis or whatever, numbers, names, words, whatever. So yeah, so that's the positive case. That's good to see happening. That's good. Can we maintain it though and go towards the upside, and actually then also while doing that, could the volume oblige and please go towards the upside, so we don't actually have too much of a sort of head and shoulders type thing on the go? And could we also not cut, not just come up as high as say the 21 or around that area and drop back down again, so we don't get a sort of right shoulder? That would be handy if you could oblige on that front, please, ChainLink. In which case, we've got this trend which is towards the upside, and if we had the head and shoulders appear on the charts, we'd be annoyed, and we'd also be annoyed if this transpired to just be a sort of even and an Adam and Eve type concept. So really essentially we want to kind of see if we can get the prices to stay up above that extraordinarily straight line that I drew on, for given that I'm using the brush tool. You've got to love the way that TradingView does that for you. So anyway, and we've come down here and we touched off the 50 on the terms of 12 hours, go up to 24 hours, sorry, and point out that we're just above the 21 EMA. That's the other positive thing to point out, and that we're if we're able to sustain these prices up here, that's cool. What we've managed to do, that's cool. What we managed to do is come and touch the 21 EMA, as we so often like to do, and any given trend, ever, always, on all time frames, forever. And that's natural in a sense, gives the oscillators a chance to reset, and maybe we could go on up and try to break above these previous highs. Well, actually now this is the previous high as well. Now, okay, let's sort of look again then and think for a second more. What have we got? Well, this is the previous high. These are the two previous highs, and this one's lower than the one before it. So that's something something to be aware of. This is the low before then, and this is this low, and the low's lower, so that's to be aware of. So you've got this sort of overall concept on the go. So that's that's there. What else have we got? We have this bearish divergence that kind of came in here between the highs on the oscillator, the MACD, and on the DMI, and on kind of class B on the stochastics, and on the RSI between the last two highs there. That was a bit bearishly divergent on the run up to where we had our previous highs at, finding resistance and turning around and coming back down below a 236 Fibonacci retracement. We drew in there speculatively when the prices were up there at those areas, and actually then saw it break towards the downside with a sort of slight descending triangle on the go at the top of that there, leading into this downward price movement, which has fulfilled the measured move off the back of that and seen us come in and potentially set in, if we want to, let's just call it what it is, low, which is lower than our previous low. So we have a lower low, and then price action towards the upside again, going up there towards that 51,000 will be yet again going in at a lower high potentially for the daily time frame. So to be aware of that should we see it. And we also want to see on the weekly time frame this not operate as a double top overall. This area here and this area here being a sort of double top. We don't want to see that happen. If it did turn into a sort of double top thing, then we could look towards concepts such as, if this 12-hour maybe be better for the shape of this thing, just to sort of draw it out a bit more. Get rid of those two drawings there. I don't know, 24-hour we'll go with on this one, just to point out that just it is not textbook, but then again, no textbook really survives contact with reality. And if this was that sort of concept and you had this base in here and then you had a double top here, then you got a sort of handle type effect here. Could we see something like that happen overall as a continuation pattern over here, looking at the weekly towards continuing things on this overall weekly uptrend that we have here quite distinctly versus the Bitcoin prices? Let's jump on over to the Ethereum. That's everything summed up really that we need to look at. Sorry that wasn't very clear in terms of giving you targets and entries and exits or whatever on that particular coin, but that's the TA. Let's move on to the dollar price. And we can see that we had this wedge on here. Let's go down from the weekly to realistically look at it, and what's come as a result of it. We don't really like looking for full measured moves on the channel. If you were to get a full measured move off the top of it, you'd be looking down to our previous lows over here at $3.11. What's between us and there is the 21 EMA. We came quite close to that. We left a lot on the other table, though I don't know if that is necessarily close enough. And we've come up and re-challenging this area of this sort of upward sloping line now. Let's recontextualize this somewhat, shall we, and say what can happen, as we always do on the channel, if you get a fake out from one of these things. Well, let's just say a breakout which could have been to there, but ultimately wasn't, turned into a fake out, and you could then rejig it, and you've got a different shape on there all of a sudden. There's only two touches on this thing, so at the bottom side, so it's early doors yet in terms of looking at it. So we could just kind of try and remain patient and see how price action revolves around these areas, and look towards more critical areas in terms of looking at the pattern right now, which is potentially premature. Maybe if we look down to a lower time frame, we could fit it in a bit better in terms of getting touches on here. But the point I was making there before is, instead of looking at that, we can just look towards our key sort of support areas, our horizontals, and here on the dollar prices, and say we need to see the prices going up above 370 as our first port of call. We're maintaining above the 21 here in the 4-hour time frame. Of course, over towards the 24-hour time frame, we're well above the moving averages. They're fanned out in a positive position, and really, in terms of the moving averages, our concern over the next wee while is whether or not we get a kiss here, a cross, whatever was going to happen, because this is the 50 simple moving average, this is the 200, and they're inbound for a death cross on this time frame, which would be coming in, of course, with the whole concept of lower highs and whatever else, and that argument I was kind of making towards the cup and handle doesn't really function over here on this dollar price pair. So, you know, there you go. And that's kind of what we're looking at. Could we see this ultimately form another wedge and break out to the downside? We could, but we also have clear targets towards the upside, which we need to maintain and break above 372, our recent highs over here at 378, the top end of what is, you know, a purely speculative trend line at the minute at $4. But, you know, $4 in and of itself speaks volumes far more than this particular trend line, and that's why we'll be looking beyond the pattern just now in terms of this coin. Yeah, so thanks very much for joining me today to look at this. I suppose if I have to sum up, the volumes decreasing throughout there, which goes hand in hand with that sort of pattern idea or whatever, and when we were already aware, as we've been checking in across the time here with this, and we know that in the terms of this sort of upward trend that is bearishly divergent, we know that currently as we're looking at resistance. So, you know, base and trades up in and around this area makes it. I hope that I've managed to. What I try to do in these episodes is give you the information which is, I think, objective and can help cut through the noise as you're looking to however you want to trade. And there's so many different ways you potentially could be trading right now, for so many in terms of you know, what particular way that you could be looking at the market in general. And I feel like I've touched on the most important parts overall, but I would be really eager to hear what you think. So you can leave me a comment down below. You can join the Discord, which is set up now, and let me know there. You can tweet at me at Rocky_Outcrop, and you can leave comments in the videos down below as well, and watch the other videos and all the rest of it, and take part in the overall community that we've got growing here. I really appreciate you tuning in today, spending the time here with me watching this when you could be doing anything. And so yeah, let's just see where the future takes us in terms of the channel, the technical analysis, and of course the actual prices and the world. Still in a wedge here, spent so much time talking about wedges in that particular last section, that we can do the same. You could do the same here in the DJI with the same ideas and concepts in terms of like looking at the horizontals and whatnot, and everything else. You know, you could do all of that, but we didn't today. Instead, I'm going to go on and look at Tezos now. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll catch you in the next episode. As always, by the way, that's every day, daily episodes. Yeah, thanks. See ya.